I always knew this was the life I was meant to live. I just had to make sure that it made some kind of sense.
Hi, I'm Barney Clay. Check out my new documentary, Shot, the Psycho-Spiritual Mantra of Rock. It's the story of Mick Rock.
Every time I pressed that shutter, it was like an explosion.
On demand, April 7th.
It's an energy thing. In the height of the moment, I say assassin because that's what I feel like. And I'm going to take you out. I want that feeling.
Yeah, well, this is a film about Mick Rock, who is known as a legendary rock and roll photographer.
I think the name infiltrated into my psyche. If you wanted a rock and roll photographer, what would you call it? You'd call him Mick Rock.
He kind of was the man who shot the 70s in terms of rock and roll.
I hadn't done a lot of performance photography until David came along.
Just thought, will I be David Bowie? The first David Bowie? That's all.
I learned about Mick when I was a kid. There were certain record covers which spoke to me.
Bingo, there's the cover.
Much later in my life, I found out it was the same guy who did all these other images which I'd known about and seen. And I was like, wow, his work is extraordinary and somebody should make a film about this guy.
Rock and roll nailed in that one shot. It was a complete revolution and most people ignored it.
It's a story about a particular time in music, but seen through one man's viewpoint. And Mick has a certain way he looks at life and the way he approaches his photography. It's all filtered through his funny head, which is interesting.
I never felt like a voyeur. I was always on the inside looking out.
Mick has an interesting relationship with his archive. It's pretty chaotic. It's basically an attic, a basement, and it's kind of organized, and it's like Mick's head. It's organized yet disorganized.
High times. Uh-oh.
He would tease us with stuff. He'd say, oh, I've got this, and then there'd be a bunch of phone calls and me pleading with him, and then eventually he'd pass it over to me, and I'd just be like, wow.
There's 50,000 junkies in New York alone, and they deserve a song too.
People often ask, when you nearly died, Mick, do you regret that I got myself into that state?
The film is really told from the moment when he nearly died in his early 40s via the real Mick Rock to a dying Mick Rock as he's waiting for open heart surgery. He kind of tells himself about his life.
Could it have been any different? Every time I ask myself that question, I say no.
The soundtrack is the artists that Mick worked with.
I'm like a thief in the night. Blang, 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 blang.
It's fantastic music.
I don't think I had a clue where I was going, but I was going to be going there anyway.